Halloween
Forever. Welcome to another fucking episode of Always Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Meg.
I'm what?
I was gonna do a big Joker style over the top laugh, and then I made myself laugh, and then the fake laugh got taken over by the real laugh, and then. And then Bruce just walked into a chair and looked at the chair like it was its fault. Go ahead,
Right,
bud.
buddy.
Jump up.
That's right, buddy.
Jump up. No? All right. Let's jump into it, guys. It's time for a fucking Showdown episode. Meg, I just did you bring the belt? Where's the belt? Where's she's just ignoring me.
Yes.
I said the right voice. I was going, fuck. Got the belt.
You
I'm pulling a Steve.
son
I'm pulling
of
a
a
Steve.
bitch.
I'm actually pulling. No, wait. The belt would always be here if you had it. So,
Right.
Yeah, no.
Hey, you're
I'm
pulling a Meg.
Steve.
You
I'm
meant
pulling
you're
a
pulling a
Steve.
Meg.
I'm pulling a Steve.
All right. Well, we're going for the belt. Meg didn't bring the belt. So hopefully, for your sake, you win it.
I know.
Otherwise,
I'm
you have to
pretty
drive the whole way
confident
back
this
to your
month,
house
you
and the
know?
whole way back.
I don't know if I should be that confident, but I'm.
But either way, we are here. The belt is going to potentially change hands this very day. It is our February fucking Showdown episode. And for those of you who did not tune in the last couple of episodes, we are doing horror comedy.
Giggle time.
We
What is it
have
about laughing that makes
three-
you laugh?
It's probably the stupid face I'm making.
Probably that. Too.
We are doing three hilarious horror comedy flicks tonight. We are going to be doing Meg. Remind the listeners what you're doing.
Yo, I have Psycho Goreman on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, you kind of just said something that I feel like maybe this episode should be called is Hellarious.
Yeah, it was a little pun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, I
About it,
like
yeah.
it. I was like, here for it.
We've attacked the bride. I have my Universal monsters. My house, having two young children, is full of various plush animals, and Bruce does not know what to do about it all because I imagine in his house all plushies are his.
Yes, pretty
Yes.
much. Yes, he is my hellhound, and every plushie is his.
Yeah. I am doing, as a reminder, a little flick called Gremlins 2, the new batch from 1990. Obviously the clear front runner here. I think you guys would both agree. What do you do? What's your Steve? Just squeezing that in there.
He's like,
Just doing
nope.
a Steve.
Yeah.
Just doing a Steve.
Yeah.
The clear front runner, obviously.
I am doing the Hellarious. The Hellarious Hell Baby.
Hell Baby. That was the first. I think that might have been a first time watch for me. I thought I saw it, but I'm thinking I probably was thinking about a different Demon Baby movie.
Possible.
I think I was on the opposite end because when I started watching, I was like, this is so familiar that
Yeah.
I think I had it on at some point.
Yeah.
But maybe got bored and
Yeah.
turned it off.
I think there was some
I don't
sort
like
of
the shit talking this early.
This is
Haven't
starting
had
out.
snacks yet.
This is starting out raw.
I like that.
We're
I don't
getting
care
into
for
it.
that.
But before we start,
We're on the road to
tearing and
WrestleMania.
gouging
Let's
and
go.
power bombing. Meg's coming off the Rumble. She's fired up. Before we get into all that, we do have a couple of fun things to discuss. We've got some beers. We've got a first time ever snacky in beverage form.
Drink snacky.
Drink snacky. And then we've got some other assorted things. What do we want to jump into first? We want to talk about our beers that we're already drinking?
Let's talk about beers.
Okay, what do you got? You got a pretty one.
Yeah, okay. Put my can away. I have Kaboom Candy by Grist House, and it always changes fruits, but this one's prickly pear and pineapple. So I know I brought you guys an extra couple cans because yeah, I think it's actually really delicious because it almost has this the prickly pear comes out as watermelon on the front.
Can I sniff it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you get all of the pineapple on the back end.
Oh boy, yeah.
You know,
Oh,
and
you get both.
Yeah,
'cause
no.
it almost smells like
super tropical.
honeydew melon. There's
Yeah.
that little, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but that little faintly green vegetal thing on the back.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
Which
That I think kind of
like.
comes out almost like this cucumbery type thing.
Cucumber,
a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I got. It's
Smell nice.
delicious.
Smell nice. Is it
Sup-
sour?
Yeah.
Or is it like a sticky
it's-
sweet?
You know what? I prickly pear is a very sweet fruit, and I feel like whenever I have it, it always mutes down any sourness that you have to the beer. But it is like a tart ale of sorts.
It's tart.
Fruited sour.
It tart. Mine, nothing too special or fancy here. I'm drinking Pilsner Kel because
So appropriate.
I got a fresh case, and that's my beer that I like to slug for drinking, for pouring
Nice.
down my neck.
We're in the crypto Kel, you know?
Yeah.
This is where we're at.
You know, hopefully it will serve you well today.
Yeah, listen, I
can hope.
did a series of chaos magic rituals last night with Pilsner Kel paraphernalia.
You're
So
summoning the gods of Pilsner Kel.
yeah, so we'll see how the ghost of Václav Burka. He is not dead. I don't know why I'm suggesting it. That's knock on wood. And I think it's gonna serve me well. What do you got, Steve?
Well, you can hope. I have from Allegheny City the smoke on the lager, and it's rock beer.
On the road. Sorry. Yeah, you have to sing as soon as you hear it. It's like
good.
one of those things.
Yeah.
And it's also the first song that every musician learns, so everyone knows it.
Right. Unfortunately, this isn't the first beer everybody learns.
That's
So,
true.
Yeah. The Rauch beer.
The rock beer.
Is it pretty straightforward? 5.5%.
Yep.
Is it Beechwood?
I don't know if it's Beechwood or not. I assume they did it with the malts rather than smoking the malts themselves. They bought them
I'm
pre-smoked.
Sure they
Yeah.
bought
But
them all, yeah.
it
It smells like Beechwood.
I'm
Yeah,
curious
it's
to
straight down the
try it
middle.
after I drink a little bit of a couple other things because I always get I want to love a rock beer. Like I really do. It just gets really offensive though. This is like the dated story of sorts, but Lavery Brewing Company has this smoked pilsner that they do, which is delicious.
Yeah.
And I remember having it probably almost 10 years ago over at Carson Street Deli, and it was one of those things where you have a few sips and then all of a sudden your palate's just gone, but you can really enjoy the beer behind it as well.
Yeah,
But I liked
acclimate
it.
to smoke. It's not like bitterness or something where it compounds to an over the top level. You acclimate to the phenols pretty
Absolutely.
quickly.
Yeah, this one is I guess comparison to the Schlenkerla is the easiest way to do it. It's not as bacony,
Sure.
and it's not. I don't think it is as harsh on the smoke. So I think you do get a little bit more of the beer.
And sometimes I like in brewing with smoked malts is using there's Environment has an oaked smoked wheat malt that I think is a little bit softer and not
People
as
use for
aggressive.
Grotzers.
Yeah, it's just a little bit calmer. So sometimes when people use Beechwood, I'm just gonna oh god, fuck. What am I in for?
See, I think oak is more aggressive.
Yeah?
But Beechwood they're both savory malts.
Sure.
But oak, I've not used a lot of commercial oak smoked malt, but I have my Rauch beer, the last Rauch beer that I brewed, and I had 5 gallons of Rauch beer, right? A corny keg. Now, there's no one else really drinks a lot of Rauch beer. So I would keep it on tap all the time and just put it a quarter or an eighth of a splash of it in before I'd pour another beer.
Sure.
Just to make a smoked version of it kind of
that's
thing.
kinda cool.
And
that.
the oak was, I home smoked the malt. It was just Environment floor malted Bow Pills, and I smoked it over oak.
Sure.
And it was fairly, it wasn't acrid or anything
Yeah.
like that, but it was fairly aggressively savory. But
Interesting.
in any case, all right, what did we do next?
I have a little game for Brian.
Oh yes,
So Brian
This-
being our
this
Mr.
fantastic-
Cicero.
this fantastic lose-lose situation.
So when I stopped and grabbed some beer for the episode, my partner gave me some unlabeled cans, and I figured it would be a fun game to give Brian a sample of it and have him try to figure out what it is from just the smell, look.
All right, I'll have
Flavor.
to talk through it a little bit.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
So it's very pale. Extremely pale, mostly clear. I would say approaching brilliantly clear. Very white foam, bright white kind of uniform foam cap. Kind of faint, appley esters on the nose right off the bat. Forgive me, this is going to be an insufferable exercise, but I'm putting myself
I
getting
definitely dropped it
getting put on the spot here.
Hey,
Yeah.
buddy.
Is it sidey?
Ooh, so it's Pilsner malt. It definitely has this kind of crackery Pilsner malt type of character to it. Noble hop or some noble hop derivative, I'm going to say. It's like very herbaceous, kind of that like honeysuckle floral type of thing. It's fairly bitter. Not aggressively so, but it's like sharp up front, but it doesn't linger. It's not chalky in the bitterness.
Is Gristhouse getting into the Italian Pilsner game?
I don't know that it's that aggressively hopped for Italian Pils.
Do you want to try it too?
I mean, yeah. If you have some, I'll give it a shot. I'm not going to know shit about shit, but
my first, and this is me just drinking coffee and Pilsner or Kel before this.
Yeah.
It tastes like it tastes like Kolsch yeast. That's what I'm tasting is like. It tastes like 029. WOP029, which is like Kolsch yeast. Although the bitterness is a little stronger than I would expect for a Kolsch, but it might be. Pilsner malt, very, very little specialty malt, if any. Is it Kolsch?
It's not.
What is it?
Is it a bonch?
Helles.
It's a bitter Helles.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good though.
I
It's
thought
nice.
it'd be fun to like also with like some of our friends who just want to like know what you think about the beer and stuff like that. Those are cool. Like,
I like
little
that.
descriptors.
It has
Cool to
more
talk through
hop aromatics than you would typically get from a Helles.
Sure.
Usually a Helles, so Munich style Helles beer, German style pale lager, most closely associated with Munich. It's like the everyday drinking beer of Munich. And usually it's described as like a Pilsner malt showcase.
Sure.
It's dry. It's so highly attenuated beer, really Pilsner malt focused, just enough bitterness to balance it. Typically just a really faint hop aroma, if any. This is definitely a little bit more. I always think like when American brewers, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but when American brewers brew classic styles, they do typically like a cartoon version of it. It's almost like a caricature of a classic style.
I like that, yeah.
Because they punch up everything. Sure. Right. So this there's a little bit more ester profile, which I don't mind in a lager beer. And definitely a little bit more on the hop character, but the Pilsner malt shines through. It's really kind of crackery and grassy.
Yeah, I guess like every Helles I've had has been like a little bit darker and a little bit more malty.
So
like
it depends. It's like I it sounds stupid to say it's a fairly broad style, but I mean any type of German lager beer like is a fairly broad style. Like if you take one of my favorite versions, American brewed versions of Helles is Enegrin, which I don't know if I had that on the show. If you guys tried, but it's like really, really light, almost like Northern German Pils type of lightness, or like actually like authentic Kolsch level of like pale, light, almost like more grassy than any type of like toasted character. But then there's like Munich variations that are like decocted, so it has a much richer malt characteristic. So there's definitely. I think Dovetail even went as far as to make like their traditional Helles, which is their Dovetail lager, which is like their kind of alpine, little more rustic, open fermented version of the Helles. And then they make a summer Helles, which is like really light and crisp and bright and spritzy. So it's like a surprisingly broad style.
Yeah.
But
cool.
yeah, this would strike me as like that kind of American interpretation, a little bit more hop character, but a really nice laggy.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. Coming soon from Gristhouse.
I like it. And some of that, if it's fresh and brand new and it's clear,
no, it is.
But it'll probably even kind of meld together a little bit more, and some of that hops will not be as over the like super. Not to say they're super aggressive, but I mean in comparison to Alice. So
yeah. I always think that's nice and impressive when breweries get like that clear.
Oh yeah,
especially if like not a lot of breweries. I mean, like I don't know a lot of breweries in our area that are like have like filters, so they're using biofine or gelatin to get that bright bright beer. And it can take time. Like I just like remember just even in times like struggling, like if you're trying to turn something over in a certain timeline and you're like it just takes time. It doesn't matter how much you add, it just shit needs time.
And you can absolutely, I think the mistake a lot of places make that don't necessarily have designated lagering tanks, and time is money in that instance, right? So they will biofine it and they'll overfine it.
Sure.
And it'll have terrible head retention, and the body will suffer, and that's like.
But it doesn't. From my personal experience, I don't think like more necessarily like moves the process along faster.
Yeah, not necessarily.
It still just takes time. Like I would even try different combinations of using biofine and gelatin, and just like at different periods throughout like its conditioning phase, and it was time.
Depends on the tank. Depends on the yeast strain.
Sure.
There's just like a million variables.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. Enough fining talk.
Nerd time.
Is that the
nerd time is over?
That was definitely our nerdy segment, which I'm totally here for.
Is that our beer? Or have we touched on all the beers?
Yeah, we did.
Okie dokie. Do we want? Let's do this first. So I had these for a while, and I meant to do them last week, and I totally forgot. These are very belated Christmas presents for you guys into February. So I will. I probably should have took them out of the package, but these are both from Etsy. So I love the little
there's
things that
really
Etsy comes
cute
from.
Things, yeah.
Important document inside. They just do a little silly face in the back. This one is for Meg.
Cool.
And I haven't opened it up, so I haven't seen it yet, but I know what it is.
Oh my gosh.
So that
Surstrom.
So
this is very Scandinavian, is what we're saying.
She got a Surstroming pin?
And so he got me a enamel pin that has a very Swedish word that looks like that means some sort of fish, herring, I'm assuming.
I think some sort of fermented herring.
Which I'm very excited about.
It is known as, it is reviled as one of the smelliest fish.
Yeah.
No, this is
and then I don't know if you know
awesome.
what that is, but it looks like they just threw that in there as well.
Oh, I don't, but I'm gonna.
It's probably some sort of Swedish snack.
It almost feels like a taffy. Oh no, it cracked. It cracked.
There you go.
So, did that come from like
Etsy? Yeah, it came from Etsy.
Nice.
Yeah, they were selling a bunch of random
Thank you so much.
Nordic things. Now this one is for Steven. This one is, I mean, the packaging job is impressive. Does anybody have a knife? Because I closed my drawer with my clamp here. The amount of the secure packaging on this is impressive, which I do appreciate. But I don't want to cut into the actual item itself. So this is kind of random, but when I saw it, I was like, I don't know. I just Steven appreciate this. This is a little art print.
Okay.
But it's very, very hyper specific.
Understandable. This is probably like a Dick Out Garfield or...
That would be a good guess. It's not quite Dick Out Garfield, but that would be an excellent guess. And I'll let you describe it.
Oh God, I need to see this. Will you hold it up?
I can hold it up, Meg. I can. It is a very specific...
That just seems like it was right
paint
up
a
Steve's
word
alley.
picture about this.
Yes,
this
I will paint a
amazing.
word picture. On the medium of white computer paper, someone has drawn with ink pen RoboCop of a lesser god. And he is proudly proclaiming, "It's me, a RoboCop."
I lulled very hard when I saw that. And I thought,
that was so good.
Who would appreciate that more than Steve?
There's nothing specifically Italian about this RoboCop, but
that's the best thing. It's just for some reason saying it like Mario.
Right.
It's a me, Mario, but it's a me, RoboCop.
Freeze creep. It's a me, RoboCop.
The candy that you pulled out that I broke in half, there is half of it. It's actually very delicious. It's like a chocolatey caramel type candy. What I was going to say is that I almost was worried about it being like aggressive on my teeth, kind of like our King Bing experiences.
Well,
but
that's aggressive on all fronts.
Yeah. Yes, it's very.
There's a little bit more on every front.
It's very delicious.
It's a cross between a Heath bar, and like a bit of honey or something like that.
Nice. That's a good call.
I would say
it is a Dame, Daim.
Kind of nice. It's not as crunchy as a Heath bar, but it's pretty tasty.
Yeah, it's like a chocolatey bit of honey.
I'm actually going to be making a Heath bar cake soon. I told my partner that I would make for his birthday, which is pretty much just like a Texas sheet cake with like caramel and whipped cream and a Heath bar on top. Sorry, that reminded me of it, and it was delicious. But yeah,
My
Oh,
friend,
you mean you're not making him like a giant 3-pound king bing?
which you
Let's-
actually have to. It's expensive because you have to rent an elephant from,
Right.
from the zoo or the circus. Have them take an enormous shit.
Right.
Somehow get a caulking gun, shoot like cherry
Make a
inside
mold
of the shit. Yeah.
Now you guys actually have my mind going with like, what would a king bing cake look like?
Yeah, elephant
It would-
shit.
A nightmare, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot
Something
of
that fell out of
fondant-
an airplane.
Yeah, I would imagine-
fondant
I would
over it.
imagine
Okay.
Jeff Goldblum sitting there pointing at it going, that's a lot of shit. It's coincidentally, my friend just brought over last weekend Heath Bar brownies, which were
Fuck
delicious.
yeah.
People are fucking with Heath bars. We've been
I just feel
sleeping
like
on Heath
these are all
bars.
just like stoner food, and we're talking about getting stoned a lot. And I think like maybe one of these weeks we just have to do the high horror genre. We just have to.
Yeah, watch Mandy. Drop acid and watch Mandy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what else do we? Oh, let's explain real quick for the new listeners, for those of what they are about to embark upon, which is our Showdown episode for the month of February. Every month we pick a series of topics from a kind of constantly growing, never shrinking list of potential topics. We pull 3 of them out randomly. We put them out on the social medias, and our friends and listeners help us select them on the Instagram and the Twitters. So what happens is once that topic's picked, we each select a film that we feel will best represent that particular genre or topic or whatever it is. We all watch them. We argue about whose is the best. We vote on it. Usually we all vote for our own. Not always. I broke the mold last time. I didn't even vote for my own movie. But normally we all vote for our own. And then we of course, vote for what our second favorite one is, which typically determines the champ. And you get to take home that goddamn strap for the month. So I also have the hiccups. Let's real quick say, if you want to help us pick those topics or suggest topics, actually got a couple of really good topic suggestions this week from a couple of our friends on social media, which we'll talk about because I think they have some mini-sode potential as well. And we're probably going to do them here pretty darn soon. But if you want to suggest things, or if you just want to interact with us or see some spooky ooky shit on the interwebs, just search Halloween is Forever on your favorite social media platform. We got the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the Twitters. And Meg did an epic troll video on
so much fun
on
doing
the
that.
TikToks
It's like
this
my
week.
biggest fuck you to you guys.
Of her.
It was a very nice swan song to your championship reign.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? I really don't think that's the case.
Of her flaunting the belt around her home, brushing her teeth with it, and all those sorts of things.
Breakfast with the belt.
Breakfast with the belt, brushing her teeth with the belt, getting ready for the day with the belt. But pretty soon, I'm going to be just
You
sitting
know what?
on
The
my
next
couch
one is going to
covering
be
that.
me smashing some beers with the belt.
It's going to be me sitting covering the belt and farts on my couch. Is what it's going to happen. Oh, I almost forgot. We also have
Join
this
Brian on Twitch for sitting on the couch,
sitting
farting
on
on
the
the
couch,
belt.
ripping squelchy
Patreon
farts.
exclusive.
Yeah.
So here is our actual snacky for the week, which was our liquid snacky that we were talking about. May, you brought these, didn't you? A long time ago.
That was part of the
Gift basket that we
gift
got.
basket that we got.
That
yes,
had
yes,
the-
yes.
The
Yes.
wonderful maple salmon jerky.
Yes.
Yes.
This
the
is
residuals.
this is bacon hot chocolate from the Redneck Cafe. And actually there's 2 more of them over there if you want, if we need to reference the package for any reason, but I do believe we got the gist.
Yeah.
It
We
is
did
it looks like a truck stop novelty, I would
Sure.
say. Hot chocolate
Yeah.
with bacon.
What's the Texas truck stop? Buc-ee's?
Something. I mean,
Something
there's no way there's not a Buc-ee's in Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like their version of Sheetz or Wawa.
Sure.
And it's
Yeah.
like half Walmart, half gas station, and it sells all kinds
All
of goof
Texas.
shit.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised I've never had a bacon hot chocolate before.
Oh, Texas.
Like I told you guys before we started recording, is that like I went through like a phase 1 bacon, and adding it to everything was like popular, and I definitely leaned into it, and I made bacon chocolate no bakes. But I had then family members for the next like 2 years give me exclusively gifts that were bacon related, whether it was like bacon socks or
they were
something.
like, what's Meg like?
Yeah. Oh, she likes bacon.
Yeah,
Who,
she's
also who doesn't fucking like bacon?
I know a person. He's fine, but
They're the death.
he's not
He
great.
doesn't
He's
sound
fine.
Doesn't sound like a good friend.
he's all right.
He doesn't sound like a good friend. Like, spit hot chocolate on herself. So I will tell you this. When I was preparing this hot chocolate per the directions, Meg just filled her mouth with vomit and swallowed it again. I think. It is, it smelled like I was cleaning out the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely taste
There's
that.
something very burnt and grease about it.
Yes, it smells, it is very phenolic. And it almost to me takes on a burnt rubber type of thing, like a burnt singed hair, singed plastic.
I get like the very edge of a smash burger.
Yeah, I suppose,
Like the most burnt edge of a smash burger.
That sounds delicious. This more so to me is that it's almost like, you know, when you don't have flavors that like mold together well, but you're like, I need to get this in here and this also in here, and that's what it feels like. It literally feels like all these like terrible burnt flavors are literally fighting against chocolate. Granted, I think the chocolate mutes it and like makes it a little bit more palatable.
And I also made this with whole milk as opposed to what the package directions suggested, which was water, which would have been probably even more disgusting.
I think it would have been hilarious if they like put in some sort of plant-based milk. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, please use almond milk for this.
yeah. Well, so there's clearly no actual bacon in it,
Right.
and the smoke flavor comes across less like, you know, applewood or something like that, and more like phenolic, like scotch. You know what I mean?
Maybe like peaty. Like I don't know.
Sounds it
Yeah,
reminds me of like the medicinal character you get from like cheap scotch.
This is actually like just sitting on my tongue, resting. I'm getting like Kendrew's. Like
Getting what?
Like hanging out at Kendrew's.
What's that?
It is a shitty bar that you can still smoke in 2020.
Oh, okay.
2022.
Gotcha.
I figured you would have known it. It's a very.
Well, I don't know what that's
You
supposed to
got
mean.
all the smoking bars over here, bud.
It's a very Beaver County bar.
Gotcha.
I don't. What's a better one? Fred's Divot maybe is the.
Okay, yeah. I know.
But
Fred.
just like that taste you get in your mouth after being in a cigarette smoke filled room, even though you don't smoke.
Or
Yeah.
those like, what's that like? The vinyl seats in a smoking bar that you just lick and then eat a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
What we're saying is not good.
Not great.
Yeah.
But we have 2 more, so if you want one, we'll send it if you want some
Yes,
stickers.
You want this?
Listen to me, guys.
You throw this away.
Send me a DM on the Instagram, and I will mail you. First 2 to do it, I will mail you the Redneck Cafe bacon flavored. If I didn't look on the package of when it was packaged, but I'm gonna guess 2009. It was put in that package. I'm just gonna take a crazy guess.
2009, so like probably 2011. All of it was made.
Yeah,
like right when the Reddit Epic Bacon kind of fucking
right.
Yeah.
Because
you know
when
what?
everybody was watching
it says,
Epic Mealtime,
like the company being McStevens, copyright 2019. So actually,
okay,
man, that's even sadder.
Yeah, it tastes old. Like I said, it tastes
the packaging
like
feels like a candy bar, though.
It's a paper package, which is also kind of strange. All right, let's pretend that never happened, and let's get into the movies. That was disgusting. I knew it was going to be bad, but I did not think it was going to be that bad.
now everybody's upset. Time to fight about movies.
Everyone's mad. Let's fight. Okay, Meg, you are the reigning champ, so you is up to you to determine the order.
Whew. There's a lot of weight on my shoulders right now, but I'm prepared to give you guys an answer.
I can tell by all the hand gestures and the stalling that you're prepared.
Okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna go first.
Oh, shit.
wow.
All right, fuck you.
And I'm
I don't know why
And I'm gonna make Brian go second.
Okay, all right. It's my
and
sweet
Steve
spot.
third.
Sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting strategy. Usually, I don't think anybody has chosen to go first yet.
I might have.
Did you?
Yeah.
I might have.
I have so many fun things to talk about with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? I wanted to like
Wait, with Steve's movie or with your
No,
movie?
with my
with you.
movie.
Oh, you're going
Jesus
first. That's right. Your movie.
Christ.
Your movie.
like I understand this is a showdown, but we can't ignore talent where it is, you know?
Sure, there's a lot of talent, but it's not necessarily the horror or the comedy.
Ooh.
Fun costumes, though.
We are taking the gloves off, bare knuckle. You can't see Steve right now. He's dipping his fists in glue.
Into the glass.
Then in
Into the
gummy
glass.
bears.
Good
Then
old
in
leprechaun
staples.
fucking
Then in
fists
chocolate
up.
chips.
My Irish side's coming out.
All right, let's do it. Talk about Psycho Goreman.
Okay, guys. Are you ready
Oh, been ready.
to talk about the best movie on the showdown tonight? Because I'm heckin' pissed. Sorry, it's going to be stuck in your head. I hope it's stuck in your head because it's stuck in my head. Okay, so I chose Psycho Goreman, directed by Steven
Kostansky.
Thank you. I fucking whatever. Some of his other like notables are The Void from 2016, which
That's a sick
it's an
movie.
amazing movie. The Divide from 2011. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it? Have either of you guys?
I
The
have not.
Divide?
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
I'm kind of curious. I watched the trailer earlier today. I was just like, kind of be like, he seems like sci-fi horror kind of seems to be in his vein.
Mhm.
But other notables, one, you guys talked about VHS 94 in the last one, and he actually did that fake commercial, the Veggie Smasher.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Like I thought that was amazing. But
Mhm.
also, let's not forget the fucking Cheddar Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this guy's fucking amazing. So, yeah, let's like go into this. The movie opens with basically this like Star Wars-esque, credit type thing of like giving a background on like the universe of where Psycho Goreman really comes from, and just other fun facts that planet Gaiax. It's most likely noted that the name derived from like the D&D creator, E. Gary Gygax, which is kind of cool. Like super nerdy and stuff like that. But then we open up to Mimi and Luke. So Mimi is played by, I don't know how to say her middle name. It's like Nita. I don't want to say it's like Jose Hannah. And this was like one of her debut roles. She's fucking amazing throughout this whole movie. And then Noah Meyer, which I was looking at other stuff he was on. And did you guys watch the Nosferatu show on Shudder? At all?
No.
But he was in that, which because I'm like, he kind of looked familiar to me, but
I feel like I've seen him in things maybe since then over the last few years.
Possible.
yeah, he's still very young, but definitely great. So they're playing a game of what they call Crazy Ball, which we'll get
It's
familiar
Crazy Ball.
with. Crazy Ball. I like that. Oh my god! Do you know like when she the mom tried to call it Kooky Ball, and she's like,
Yeah.
She's
It's
in
the
bed.
Crazy Ball.
It's the best line delivery probably in the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, for this being her debut, I feel like there's like a certain authenticity to her character that you cannot replicate. That I'm curious to see what happens to the rest of her career.
She has this energy that she might just be Danny McBride as a little child.
Yeah. It's weird because like I fell in love with this movie right when I saw it. I really, really dug it. She cracked me up. She was my favorite character. And then I saw like a lot of reviews and people about it. It was like, this is a great movie, except for the little girl's so annoying. Like there were so many people who were like, it was a kind of polarizing performance, which is a complete opposite of what I expected. Because I thought it was nothing but gold pretty much. You know what I mean? Like just the over the top. Just super over the top performance, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but hearing other reviews too about that I don't think that certain humor that came through would have been able to come through if it wasn't like these characters were full on in their character. Like if she tried to actually obviously she was playing another character, but if she tried to pretend to be something else, like it would have not worked. Like
I think it's just like maybe what it was for people is in contrast to the brother who's like so mellow.
Yeah.
And she's so over the top. But I don't know. I thought it works.
Yeah, I think we also needed that dynamic because that sold later on when we're like, he's fed the fuck up with her bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're back to they're playing a game of Crazy Ball, which I fully don't understand. Besides, it's mildly a mixture of dodgeball with I don't even fucking know. Mortal Kombat, maybe?
I think the idea is you don't know the rules. Nobody knows the rules
Though
except
I would
for
love
them.
to play the game.
Yeah.
I would love to figure it out. Someone has probably figured it
I
out.
guarantee there's rules online.
I mean, I always took it as just like a reference to like Calvin and Hobbes, where they played Calvin Ball.
Yeah.
So
That's cool. I didn't even think about that. But so then we have like Power Ranger type jams, which we talked about this when we initially were bringing this movie up, that like it definitely has a lot of like Power Ranger-esque-ness to it.
Yeah.
But I think, especially hearing other interviews with the director, he definitely does a good job and like actively wants to give nods to things, like, but in a fun way. And we see that throughout this whole movie. So the winner basically has to dig their own grave, and Mimi wins. So Luke's basically sitting there. We have him digging his own grave, and while they're doing this, they find this like gem of sorts that's lighting up, and Mimi being Mimi, she's like, I'm the winner. I get all the treasure. So she unearths this treasure.
It feels like it's an episode at times of like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Or Goosebumps or something like that a little bit. But yeah, like the idea of we're going to play this stupid game called Crazy Ball, which seems so intense. But then they do the like look at them out the window and it's just lame as hell.
Yeah.
Like they do the without
it's just two kids playing.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, if you lose, you have to dig your own grave. Like the whole movie is just stark contrast between absolute silly nonsense and just like enormous stakes that nobody seems to care about.
And I don't know if you're referencing that too, because like at moments they'll like pause the music and they just have us looking at what's going on. You're like, this is boring as fuck. But by adding the music and like having shots more in it, they're like, oh my god, this is so exciting. But yeah, so they also, in unearthing this gemstone, this like comes up. They're like, holy fuck, what is this? Is this grandma? Did we bury grandma here? And they decide that, okay, they're going to pull the gemstone, but they're going to like fill in the hole because this is kind of freaky and we don't know what's going on. The mom comes out and she's like, let's go to fucking bed. And I also feel like this next segment of like interactions, this is when we get introduced to Susan and Greg, which are the parents, and they have their own dynamic that is just super hilarious throughout it, that you're just like,
I honestly don't understand it really.
Neither do I. It's mildly cringy. You're just like, oh god, maybe I've seen those scenarios before. Like, you know, the mom who's just like, I can do everything, I can take care of shit, and then the dad who's just always trying to get out of every responsibility he absolutely has. Yeah. And we learn that throughout the rest of the film.
It's so overplayed. And like you're saying, like Greg is like, he's supposed to be, everybody's supposed to be like these plays off 90s sitcom characters or television show characters. And like he's supposed to be the dad who like is shirking responsibilities or is just kind of a doofus. But like he goes so far.
So far.
Just being like, he's pathetic.
Yeah. But I think though that's another just like note on the director and hearing things. He's like, he doesn't want it to feel like just something normal that you would experience, because their interaction could be like, they didn't have to talk about microwaving the chicken, but like that created such a depth of like texture to the film that I felt like you would have never gotten in it. That it also brought it over the top.
Well,
look at Meg, depth of texture.
I don't know. I'm just making shit up right now. That's how it felt.
No, so here's the thing I like about the parents is because, so you know the kids by now. There's the one kid who's like super timid. The one is super aggressive. The one that's timid is also like the realist who seems to live in the real world. And the one that's super aggressive seems to live in her own world. And then the parents are like upside down and backwards in the sense that like the mom is the aggressive one in that relationship, but she's the real life one. And the dad is the super out there bizarro one, but he's super timid. Right. So like they're both, it's like flipped and reversed. You know what I mean?
But I think too, in what you said though, you had to see the brother and sister work together because they still always find this common ground of like what the real path is, you know, in a way that I don't think would really exist if you just had like the two extremes of sorts. I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool. Weird because, and then I never, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I never know whether I'm supposed to like or hate either of the parents or kids. Like, who's good, who's bad? Should I like that one? Should I not? Did that person do something wrong or not wrong? We don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably like one of the biggest problems is just like it's hard to root for them 100% of the time, and it's not because he made like ambiguously gray moral characters.
Yeah.
It's just because nobody reacts properly.
Yeah.
Like there's no proper reactions to any of the shit that's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like even when you meet Psycho Goreman, you're just like, I want to hate him. But by the end of the day, you're like, kind of like him.
Yeah, I want to say, because I think Kostansky puts enough like thought into everything in his movies that like this was kind of a take on the anti-hero rooting for the monster or rooting for the killer type of thing, I would assume. But anyway, sorry,
and just like it's at its base, it's like a redemption arc for Psycho Goreman because you're supposed to he's supposed to be this murderer of the universe, but then you feel bad for him because he's been betrayed, he's being hunted, he's being controlled by a little girl, and you would think that she redeems him, but no, she's a psycho too. So it's like
for February, this could almost be a Valentine's Day film that I'm going to throw this out there because he finds love. You know what, guys?
Well,
he
never understands what love is. He has no idea what love is.
Yeah.
Like at the end,
he says he does, but
he's like, I found love, and they all look at him like, did you?
Like, do you? No, that was definitely
sorry.
a
We're
stretch.
getting way ahead of ourselves.
No, it's fine. But again, this is why this movie is so fun. So when they're going to bed, like they're like the kids are wondering, like, oh my god, are we gonna like have all these monsters? And they're asking the parents if they're real. And again, this kind of aids in this like the Luke asks the parents first, and the dad is like, you know what? People are the real monsters, and it's just like, oh my god,
he
like,
thinks
you're
he's
so
like he thinks he's like kind of this like philosophic deep thinker kind of guy,
absolutely.
which is
yeah, totally.
He's a funny character.
Yeah, and so the mom obviously steps in and is just like, no,
shut
they're
up,
not.
you man child.
Yes, like no. And then we go to Mimi. She asks the same exact question because both the kids are like, oh my god, we have these monsters on the loose now. And that's when we get the quote we just mentioned too, where it's like, you guys, like, you need to be a little calmer on your brother when you're playing
because he has like a
kooky
gash
ball.
on his head, right?
Yeah, because he's fucking beat the fuck up, which I kind of love, and that's where we get the crazy quote of her, like, it's crazy ball.
Yeah, she's
so
she's
good.
like up to her neck in the blankets, just like peeking over.
Yeah, almost like she's like ready to actually go out on another adventure. She has the same question, and they shut it down. They're just like, no. And then we find out that the kids both like know Morse code, and they're like knocking on the walls to try to talk to each other and be like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? And let's figure this out. And the mom obviously also shuts that down because she knows Morse code.
So they go to school the next. This is where one of my favorite quotes is.
My math.
Oh, that too. But I was about the kid who later she gets turned into the brain, whatever his name is.
Alistair.
Alistair. And she comes up to him. She's like, hey, Alistair, because she has like a crush on him. And
Huge
it's like,
crush.
and she's like, why don't you give me a spin there, hunky boy? Like, it's like,
Her relationship, I feel like, with everyone is just goes from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
And she just has this awkward way of approaching people.
yeah, she's a sociopath.
She has
True
emotional
facts.
problems.
Yeah.
Like you don't see much at the school, but she's one of the kids that had to go out to the trailer for learning.
Yeah.
She's this full-on sociopath.
Yeah. So right before that, I think this is when we first also see that we have the hole. I feel like, was that before school? I can't remember if it was before or after school. We find out that like the hole that they had originally covered up is now completely open, and who will come to find out is Psycho Goreman has gone out, and he found, I'm gonna double check my notes to make sure I'm
Crackheads. He found crackheads.
He did find crackheads. Yeah, I just want to make sure he's going right. Yeah, so he gets out and he finds this warehouse, which will become one of our common locations for the film. And he finds a bunch of thieves. Clearly, they're also doing a lot of crack cocaine.
See, I thought meth, but you know what?
You know
Drugs.
what? Maybe they're definitely doing
Nothing
drugs.
gets you high like drugs.
Like not the good drugs,
Nothing
not the
gets you
ones,
high like
not the
drugs
ones
in
that
a
we
scene.
talk about. Nothing gets you high like drugs. And the leader's freaking out because, he's just like, what is this fucking bullshit? But I love the quote where the guy was just like, I really liked that frame. The frame looked really nice. And then we have Psycho Goreman come in. He basically grabs the frame because the leader basically throws it.
They had just robbed an elderly person.
And pretty much
killed them.
Killed
Yeah.
them too.
So these are
Yes.
villains for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not great people, so we're okay with them their fate. And so we get introduced to Psycho Goreman, and he starts speaking in his native tongue, and then they don't understand him, and he catches on that they're speaking English and basically demoralizes everyone.
He's like a variation on the something tongue, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah, like you guys are all weak humans, blah blah blah. So I'm now going to murder you because you're terrible. That's very true. And so he basically rips off the heads of the two like kind of side thieves there, and then the leader is like, I don't want to die. He's like, that's fine, you're gonna live immortally in pain. And I love that too.
Well, that's the thing, is he makes him like, this is a great example of like, it's just silliness up to this point, and then what he does, and it's never fully explained, but he apparently traps that guy in like a prison of his own mind in eternal pain.
Yeah.
And he's just like a frozen corpse with his eyeballs spinning around.
Right.
It's like super dark and over the top for an otherwise just completely silly nonsense.
Up to this point, everything could have been in, like on a 90s TV show. On a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Up until the point that he starts ripping the heads off and then damning people to eternal madness.
Yeah. And I feel like I love that because it almost has that feel throughout the whole fucking movie. And then you get those moments where it's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. No, I'm going to murder you now. You will all die. And it's so great. So actually, from my notes, it's the next morning that the family finds the hole. This is where we also get more hints of how the dad's pretty useless, and he congratulates the son on doing such a good job with the hole. And he's like, well, who's going to fill this in? And everyone votes the dad. And he's like, nah, what about you guys? And he starts literally the first shovel down. It hurts his hand, which we now clearly see how useless of a human he is. So this is where we see Mimi and Luke discuss what to do next. And Luke suggests going to the cops, which I also felt was such a hilarious thing that Mimi's just like, I don't trust the cops. And I feel like these are just like little side things that you get to learn about these characters. Like, why the fuck does she not trust cops at the ripe age of like, 9, 10, 11?
Yeah, probably not even,
And that's when we meet Alicia for the first time, and we realize Mimi has a crush on him, and this is where she goes into the awkward mode, and they hear the bell for the school. She throws Luke's homework, and he's like, my mouth. Just like, again, this is why I like love the character interactions, which for as awkward and sometimes at times you're like, this doesn't totally make sense. Like, just their interactions definitely can crack you up and keeps you going on that. They basically decide that they want to like handle this situation themselves, and they want to look for whatever came out of the hole. And I don't think the movie did a good job in figuring out how they figured out, but maybe they're following tracks or something. But they find the warehouse, and that's what they go to after school. And this is where they meet PG, Psycho Goreman.
The Archduke of Nightmares.
The Archduke of Nightmares. So in this situation, this is where we first get a hint of like, okay, we meet Psycho Goreman. He first catches Luke in his like whatever powers he has, but then Mimi says something to him to almost make him to stop, and she realizes that she can fucking control him. And then once Luke is like now in his own control, he bumps into that thief that's like stuck in eternal frozenness and knocks him over, and like he splashes. And I find that was such a funny situation because it's so like quirky. And then Psycho Goreman's like, no, that was my masterpiece. Which also I'm kind of surprised. I don't think that is his masterpiece.
Yeah, it's because before he just acted like it was such a tiny thing to him, and now so he has obviously this like very grandiose sense of self, and he is the destroyer of universes and all this stuff. He basically looks like a rubber suit, like he almost looks like a more demonic version of like Goldar from the Power Rangers, but without the knight's armor. He just has like an exoskeleton kind of thing.
He looks like Ivan Ooze on test.
Yeah. He's somewhere in that. He's reminiscent of Ivan Ooze, maybe a little Lord Zed in there. Right. Yeah, he's a culmination of a lot of different Power Rangers villains, I think.
Yeah. So this is where we actually get, she's like, who the fuck are you? She realizes she can control him and she can stay safe. And that's what he tells us he is the Archduke of Nightmares.
Yeah.
But they don't like that name. So they start coming up with.
Well, she quickly first, she realizes that the thing, that gem that she has
Right.
is glowing.
Yeah.
And she realizes that she can tell him to do stuff. And she's like, okay, explain this.
Yeah.
And he has to go into the whole explanation. So I thought that was a good way of her quick thinking, making it make sense to have a bunch of exposition here.
Yeah.
Because
it does fall into the Aqua Teen Hunger Force episode where the robot turkey, or just the robot comes, and he's thousands of years ago.
Yeah. And Danzig shows
Right,
up next door. And
so yeah, just anytime
he's so annoying. He's
so
so frightening, and he doesn't wear a shirt.
What I love about every time he does explain like who he is, she instantly gets bored and she's like, "Fuck this shit."
Yeah.
Like she's like, "No." I'm like,
Well, that
Show
stupid
some-
story put me to sleep, or whatever.
Yeah.
That stupid story made me tired.
yeah,
I like the one they do better, the diner, where she just cuts him off.
yeah,
Because it's such a funny waste of everything they built. Because he starts this story, and like Psycho Goreman's on this space bike flying at this giant old god mass that's like full of teeth and eyes and tentacles.
yeah. Like there's a lot of effort that goes
Yeah,
into
there's
like
a whole
even
lot of
creating
effort
that,
went into this 3 seconds.
Yeah, and she's like, "Shut up, I'm bored,"
Yeah.
and then it just
Shut up.
that's it.
Yeah, so that's when they come up with the name Psycho Goreman. And so they're basically like, they realize what they have and then they can control him. And they're like, holy shit, we need to figure out what to do. But in the meantime, we got to go home. So they tell him to basically go sit in a corner and do nothing
Mhm.
and sit there until tomorrow. But I like his side comments about like how he's going to murder them. And they like build up that with like some of the
Yeah.
soundscape like of it. Like
It's like, "I will bathe in your blood." And she's like, "Yeah, shut up."
I think it's so perfect. And then on their way back, they're basically just like, Mimi's just like instantly in her brain. She's like, you know what? I have control. I'm gonna like teach him cool tricks. You know, like I'm gonna like show him off and have fun here. And then we meet basically the Galactic Council of sorts, and we start getting a bigger picture of like what's actually going on.
And this is straight Masters of the Universe /
Yeah.
Power Rangers, like
Yeah.
to a T.
Yeah, absolutely. And we learned that the gem is actually called the Gemma Peroxidite,
Mm.
if I said that correctly.
Peroxidite.
Peroxidite, yeah.
Close
So,
enough.
and then we meet our next, like, I think main character we can talk about is the Templar, Pandora. So she basically was the one who banished Psycho Goreman to this, like eternal, like, damnation. Like, he's in eternal hell for the rest of eternity, whatever. She's like, you know what? I did that. I almost had as, like, my ego. I should have fucking killed him. So now we're going to try to go kill him.
Their races have been essentially battling for millennia or
It
something
almost sounds
like
like,
that.
yeah, the Templar almost had control, and then the only time that like that shifted was when Psycho Goreman was able to found the gem and basically Genghis Khan'd everyone
Mhm.
in
Right.
the universe, and they finally caught him off guard. And
Yeah,
got him
and they are
beheaded.
like, her race, the Templars, are like, I mean, they're not terrifically dissimilar to like the StarCraft Templars, I think, like a little bit. And they're like this ultra like religious warrior race kind of thing. And
Yeah.
the costume's awesome though. I love
Yeah.
all the costumes in this one. The Tube Man guy, you know, the guy who's like the skeleton in the tube.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
In the brain case.
so
Brain case,
fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like and he even is the type of puppet that they can like curl his lips in to make him make silly faces.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, he has no lines, but has like a lot of funny looks. Just like
He's always like surprised and
he's
scared.
like, surprised, scared, has some uncomfortable looks. Of just like, okay.
If you don't already, you should follow Psycho Goreman, their Instagram page, because they have a lot of really fun, like they actually kind of deliver backstories to
Mhm.
like them. Like the
Oh, okay.
Tube Man is like, of the Gygax Council, the Tube Man is the cosmic resonance analyst. And then they have the Star Striker 77, which was that guy,
Yeah.
Okay.
you know, that kind of looks like a reptilian kind of thing. And he's veteran star pilot. And then they have Alan, which is this
Alan,
person,
just
which is
Alan,
human
yes.
resources. It's just dumb shit. Like there's this one, remember like the lizard
Yeah,
one?
the hiss,
Yeah.
Hiss.
which is HISS.
Yeah. Hyperon, Isol, Serpentine, Sorceress. It's just like all this stupid shit. I love their
Okay.
page is really funny. And they consistently post all kind of crazy shit like that.
And like sidebar, I think that they're just keeping it hyped because they're definitely planning for a Psycho Goreman too.
Oh,
So,
they have to. I mean,
yeah,
they
they're
have
definitely.
to.
Yeah. So, but I think like when I heard one interview, basically he wants to bring it back with like completely unexpected like plot twist, because it's one of those things like you can come back and you can just be like do the same old, but like no, they want to like completely like change things and make it unexpected. But
That would be good because this one was very expected.
wow. Wow.
Wow.
Getting back to the story. So the Templar Pandora, she basically is like, nope, I'm gonna take care of this shit. I'm gonna, for once in a while, I'm gonna fucking kill him. So they summon a human, and she basically kind of manipulates this thing to be able to take shape of that human, which basically makes her a cube, smashes her, and uses her blood to take shape of that character. So when she goes to like Earth, she can fit in and stuff like that.
Which is it's kind of fun because it's like the first time you get a sense that, oh, they're not the good guys either.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There are no good guys.
Yeah. There's no good guys in any of these space councils or anything, or at least to the point that none of them respect human life.
Right.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
When she smashes the little like cube thing of like the person and then smears it on her face, that's when you get the faces of all the other galactic council. They're like,
fuck, shit's about to go down.
I love that scene.
So we then shift back to all three kids. We have Alistair, Luke, and Mimi, and they're now taking a TV through the forest to this warehouse to PG. And I find this next interaction to probably be a very hilarious scene because Mimi also brings her the magazine with the Hunky Boys. And he's just
it looks like a fashion magazine or some sort of thing.
He's like, I do not care about Hunky Boys or do I like Hunky Boys? And it's just like, and then you find out the joke later too, which I don't want to miss that joke too, when they're at the last fight and the Pandora is like, she rips this magazine of the Hunky Boys and he's like, not my Hunky Boys. You know, I just like, I feel like,
not care for Hunky Boys. Or do I? Yeah, it's a great line.
You know what? I love Hunky Boys too. And this is where we get a good interaction with like Alistair's being introduced to PG, and he's just like, kind of like, hey, who are you, guy? And he's like, I will murder you. I will eat your flesh. He's like, okay, bye. And
he's like, my favorite was, it's nice to meet you. Would have been nicer if you're dead. I love the scene at this point. I don't know if they did this already, but all the scenes, we talked about the scenes about PG's backstory.
Yeah, this is where we jump into
so much more than they need to be.
Right.
Which is what I appreciate about it.
Yeah. But I feel like, and that's where I feel like Mimi cutting it all off is like really what drives it home, because this is where we get a fuller backstory about how the Templar basically enslaved the people of Gygax, and basically PG spent his entire life as a slave until he found the gem, and he was like, I can fucking break out of this. And that's why I say he Genghis Tron'd the entire universe.
Genghis Tron.
They say Tron.
That is a metal band,
pun.
but that's cool.
Oh, is that a metal band?
Yeah.
I was going to say it's a great
pun. I think
pun.
I said it that way because I had to like stop myself in my notes and make sure I wrote Con instead of like Tron. If I said Tron, I would not like, that's my bad.
It's a great band name. I don't even know what this band is. I already like them.
Yeah.
It's fucking loud.
Yeah. And this is where we also have Mimi's first time. We're like, well, that story is boring, so let's just like leave. And Mimi's like, this is your homework. You need to watch TV and learn all about the United States. You need to learn about us and blah blah blah. And PG's obviously like, fuck you guys. You guys are dumb. And they leave, but PG realizes that there's like energy in the TV, and that would allow him to communicate with people back home. He gets a message, the TV starts bleeding, which I don't fully understand why it would bleed, but I also kind of appreciate like the
I don't think there's much to overthink here.
That's the Aqua Teen Hunger Force shit again of like, why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Why would he explode? Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. So, and then basically
if you guys see my blood guy, because supplies run a little low
Can I be
over
a blood guy? I would love to be that.
Can the blood run up the walls?
But also, he does refer to the universe as like the Electroverse, so that's why I was like, okay, it makes sense. Like at least he can use the TV, and they make sense there.
What was the name of his like army of generals?
The Obsidian Guard, I think.
Something of Obsidian. Aren't they? It was the
Knights of Obsidian, maybe
something like that. It was a sweet name, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought you were gonna say more about that. So
No, I just couldn't think of it. I
No, we're
I
just
kept going to
thinking
say
about
the Arbiters of Obsidian, but
Yeah.
now I'm just
Nah,
thinking of
yeah.
Arbiters would be great,
StarCraft. Yeah.
Thinking of Halo.
Yeah, or Halo, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we jump back to the family at dinner, and this is where we go through the scene where Greg basically he's like toting himself for cooking dinner, basically microwaving chicken, and I'm just like grossed out through this entire situation, but he's like so serious about it, which makes it even more hilarious.
Yeah.
And no one's eating the food at all.
But he's like talked himself into how everyone
Right.
loves it.
Yeah.
It's very strange. He has
absolutely.
like these delusions of grandeur. Like she goes, he's like, it's a little tough, Dad. And he goes, yep, microwave will do that.
Yep.
But it really does bring out the flavor. Like he's just talking himself into
Does
so
not.
much.
Yeah. $20 says he'd even use salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Well, at least Mimi ate all her chicken. She didn't.
It's not untouched. It's
Yeah.
just sitting there.
Yeah.
And he's still like, yeah.
Hell
Like, he's
yeah.
so proud of himself.
So basically Luke and Alistair are like, can we just go play video games? And they're like, cool, yeah. So Mimi is like feeling a little bit lonely, so she's like getting great ideas in her head, and she's like, I'm gonna call on PG to come hang out with me. And I think this is also where it's a great period when shit just like goes wild, because PG comes, and then Luke and Alistair end up coming outside, which I'm mildly forgetting exactly why they came out, maybe just to find her, but
I think they
there's
just
a
saw
noise.
They
Yeah,
just saw
because
they saw
PG
him
arrive.
freaking out because PG's standing out in the yard.
No, they came out before that because
Yeah,
like
they saw
Alistair-
him arriving.
Yeah.
Oh
So-
yeah, because they're
so-
they're in the playing N64.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit, he sees him out the window.
Yeah. So this is where PG turns Alistair into his brain figure. And it's basically Mimi just being like, I just wish Alistair wouldn't be such like a ding dong over this. And he's like, PG sells it as like he has this like situation. He understands her pain. And
Or
that-
he has put some sort of love spell on somebody
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
or something.
And they're like, okay, cool. It's the brain that really does it. So he
Yeah.
turns him into this brain character, which he stays in the
He's
rest
like
of the film.
Krang if the suit wasn't there,
Right.
but just giant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Alistair's character immediately sounds like Chucky from the Rugrats for the rest of the film once he goes into the brains
It's like a
form.
gurgly
Yeah,
version
like-
of Chucky.
And very whiny. So like we then switch back to the parents basically having a fight, and she's just like, you fucking made a mess up here. And he's like, what I made a point to say, like, no, well, like, yeah, but that's what good cooking kind of does. And
He's like, you destroyed the microwave. He's like, I made a delicious meal for my family. Like,
and then it whispers just like, you're welcome. Like that was probably so perfect for like how dramatic he was in his mind. He's just like, yeah, I did good work for my family here.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. And this one, Susan then looks outside and she sees PJ and runs outside freaking out with a bat, beats him, and like then Greg comes running out after, and it's just like, my bat again. Put it in perspective. How
she
ridiculous.
breaks the bat on PG's like arm. He's like unfazed completely, and he's like, my lucky bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is this is the first time that like somebody has like an actual response that an appropriate response.
Yeah, the mom, right?
Yeah, the mom has an appropriate response.
She's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, there's a huge monster
there's
out there.
a monster
Yeah.
by my children. I'm going to hit it with a bat.
Yeah. So with Greg then like basically kind of getting falling down to the ground with her, he's just like, oh my god, no, take her. Like, like doing the typical Greg thing, which at this point these are the type of things that we would expect.
What was the gag that he does? I forgot, but when they're eating dinner and he says something about when he was in the army, he was like, we used to play games when I was in the army in Desert Storm, but we played for keeps.
We
or
played for
something
keeps,
like-
and it was like we used to shoot guns at each other for real.
Yeah.
And we played for keeps. And the mom's like, he never shot a gun.
He's
Like,
never fired a gun in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just makes shit up. Like,
Yeah, he definitely thinks much more highly of himself, and we learn that a little bit later too. So Mimi's just like, PG wouldn't hurt a single person. Like, this is my friend. And PG basically said, my entire existence is based on death and destruction. I will kill you both. I will bathe in your blood. And she's just like, oh, he's such a jokester.
she's going, no, he's fine. He's like, it's not fine. I'm gonna murder you.
Yeah, he says it like at least 10 times. To
Yeah,
them.
and she's like, no, he's kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, it's
And And then the scene just fades out with him going, "I will kill you.
I will
I will
fuck."
kill you."
He just keeps
Kill
saying
you.
And then we go into the I'm the heckin' best montage, which I feel like is fairly hilarious because somehow within seconds the parents are completely convinced that PG is totally fine. Just like whatever. Like
Right.
he's not gonna do anything to me.
This is where this is kind of where I don't completely love it, because the mom loses her reality.
Yeah, this is when things take a completely weird turn to now like before it was like we're living in this little joke world, but the rest of the world is real and normal. And now after this, the rest of the world is also crazy.
The only thing where I can agree with you on that is that with the mom, but the mom, I guess, kind of like she shows how quickly she jumps back and forth. So maybe like maybe I'm going back on what I said, is that like she tends to jump from like position to position and believe her children to the ends of whatever, because when Pandora comes back into the picture on Earth, she immediately believes her and believes now PG to be like a very severe, scary character. And then we see her switch again in the next film. But I guess it kind of, I don't know if it says more about just her relationship with people and things, because she clearly like still is with Greg and still puts up with the shit. So maybe there's something within that there's context that we don't totally know that we could probably try to make up.
I think that they just didn't care as much. They cared more about the gags than the story, which is fine. It's a horror comedy. But like, yeah, the montage of all the nonsense that's happening.
Like they're going to the store and like trying on clothes.
And he's eating the cookies, and then a hand grabs him like Beetlejuice style.
Yes, I thought
it's just like, I think they were like, okay, we're going to set up some characters. This is all about just crazy effects and gags. So let's just prioritize the crazy effects and gags.
Which I'm not mad at. I totally agree with in that sense too, without it actually being something more complex. But the band thing is super fun. Let's see. I mean, notes about it. The best part, I think, is at the end that like cracked me up too. It's just like when PG uses that like almost head figure that he can like throw around and send to people, and he throws the his head and it goes into the living room and hits the TV and scares the fuck out of Greg. And he's just like,
like crazy overact.
And then just the end with him sitting there. What the fuck? What the fuck?
It shatters the TV.
Yeah. This is where we go back, and I'm pretty sure this is when we're at the diner, and they're talking a little bit more about the background of like what he's doing, and like this is where we get introduced to this like Warrior's Death thing, which I felt like was a huge touch on It, like Pennywise from It, and I was kind of like, it took me a moment when I was watching it, I was like, what do I know this from? What do I know this from? And I was like, okay, I remembered It.
I love that they like, this is an idea so the whole Warrior's Death thing. You want to explain? I don't want to steal your thunder. If you want to explain what the Warrior Death is.
Yeah, so basically the Warrior's Death is like basically has someone almost on their deathbed, and he's like, well, I'm gonna kill you now. So, but instead of like just killing them instead of letting them die, he basically eats them.
Yeah.
So, and he extends his jaw so far out that he can basically
like an anaconda almost type situation, eating a deer or something.
Where the Pennywise from It kind of came.
But the fun thing about it is that, when they were sitting around brainstorming ideas for this movie, somebody thought of that.
Right.
And normally you would go, how are we going to pull that off? Fuck that. But they fucking did it. Right. I mean, they kind of did. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
But it was cool. But it was just so funny that they were like, you know what? Yeah, we are going to fucking do this multiple times.
The only thing is that I feel like when they say Warrior's Death in my mind, I'm like, this sounds like an honorable thing. But basically every time they do it, it's not. They just want to like fucking
in his culture it is. I think that's the idea. In his culture, being consumed is like like you're taking them into your body as like a show of respect or something like that.
But that's what I'm saying is like, why would you do
why?
why?
There's no reason why.
Because he says he learned it from another culture.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
I learned it from them, and he's like, I just do it that way.
Now it's my thing.
Yeah. So that makes more sense. What I'm saying is that when they're at the diner, because this is where he starts realizing that Mimi is like kind of going overboard, and she's just getting too consumed in this like having fun and like controlling the situation. And that evening, like PG comes to Luke in his dreams and is like, get me the gemstone, and
in
I
his
will
nightmare,
in
in his zombie nightmare.
Yeah.
zombie nightmare.
So great.
To get him the gemstone, and he's kind of just like, man, I don't really want to. Like Luke is so on the edge of everything. Like he can't make a decision about anything. He's just like, I don't want to hurt my sister, but I also don't want to help you because you're evil, and so on and so forth. And what I like how they ended that whole scene, because pretty much was like Luke didn't really confirm or deny if he was going to do that. He wasn't convinced, but PJ's like, no, if you keep letting her do this, she is going to choose her own life over yours. And
Yes, this is when he's like starts planting that seed of doubt for him. Yeah.
So
What's the brother's name again?
Luke.
Luke. Fuck,
Which is also
which is-
hilarious.
yeah. I can't remember his name
Just like
either.
calling
Yeah,
him boy.
I
The
can't-
other one.
Goodbye,
Yeah.
Greg and Susan
Yeah.
and Mimi and
Yeah.
boy.
I
Yeah.
couldn't remember his name either.
But Luke plays the whole no finders keepers, it's Mimi's.
Yeah.
But at the end of the nightmare, he's just like, so what do we do now? And he's like, well, I guess we finish. You just gotta stop dreaming now. Like,
Wait for
it's
this
just
dream
so
to
awkward.
play out. Yeah.
It's super great. The next day, we have PG who's dressed up, which I did find some side notes about the trivia that basically they made his
Dressed as
character.
Sam
He
Neill
looks
from
like Sam
Jurassic
Neill
Park.
from Jurassic Park.
Yes,
Yeah, it's very
exactly
clear.
what they decided to do.
This is what I
And-
wrote. I said, why is he dressed like Sam Neill from Jurassic Park?
Yeah. Just because.
Yeah. There was
Because
no
90s, remember?
The
Yeah.
hat, the skull, like the handkerchief,
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. The glasses.
So Mimi's here sitting here trying to explain the game, and he's just like, I have no idea what's going on. But the police show up, and this is when PG's just like, oh god, now I have to fucking do something with you. He turns one of the characters into basically what we talked about, which is the bio cop.
Biocop.
Bio cop. Yeah, which
You have the right to remain dead.
Oh, Biocop.
What else is this? Like, nothing gets you high like drugs.
I like drugs. It's the dad, by the way, too.
Yeah.
who
Which,
says
you,
so.
Steve, you mentioned too with like, what is it? Is it
So-
Astron 6?
Astron
Yeah, Astron 6 is where Adam Brooks, Stephen Kostansky, and Jeremy Gillespie, they've
Yeah.
all come out of this little Canadian short film group.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have... Gillespie is actually not on this film,
Oh, okay.
but he's on a bunch of other... Like,
Did you
he
do The
wrote...
Void?
Yeah, he wrote
Yeah.
and co-directed The
Yeah.
Void.
Yeah.
And, like, he's on a bunch of other stuff. And Adam Brooks is... I'm trying to think if he directed The Editor, which is another film they put out.
I thought we just talked about
Yeah,
him
I
about
saw the
something else,
editor on
too.
something
recently.
too.
Yeah, he's on a bunch of... But, yeah, they're all on... You know, you can find a lot of the short films like Biocop online. I think you can still find Manborg online.
Yeah. I need to watch Manborg because like
Manborg is-
Manborg basically was like what that inspired like the Biocop thing
Right.
because they were saying they're working on that and they're like, what if we did XYZ to a cop and what would that be like? Which I think is just really fun and I think like allowed their creativity to go wild. But
You can see a lot of the short films like culminating into this film.
Yeah.
And like a lot, we're talking like the backstory and the way like PG's backstory is filmed.
Mm-hmm.
That's all of Manborg.
Okay.
Like all of Manborg looks like that. It's on like these, it's on a green screen, but like the backgrounds are these really dense, populated,
Sure.
you know, lush like backgrounds.
Mhm.
You know, Biocop obviously was just a short film on its own, and now we have PG turning the same actor into Biocop
Yeah.
Yeah.
again.
Which
And
I
Adam
think was a
Brooks
cool.
is Greg, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and he's in that Biocop that we mentioned. That
Yeah, he plays
it's
like the
just
commissioner or whatever
yeah,
or something.
the super
They never
corrupt
say what
dude.
it is. It's
He's
a
like a
trailer.
businessman.
Yeah.
He's like,
Oh, that's right. He's like the evil businessman.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
RoboCop style.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the evil businessman.
He's the,
Yeah.
he's the dick of RoboCop.
Yeah.
Nothing gets you high like drugs. That's
We
we
don't-
talked about how that needs to be a shirt.
It does
Yeah.
need to be sure. Yeah. So one of the cops, obviously, he definitely turns into like a biocop and becomes almost a slave of sorts that just follows him around. And then he tells
he's like motivated, but also wants nothing more to just be dead.
Right.
Yeah. Which also we see later in the pretty much the next scene where he gives that Valentine to
Please
Mimi
kill
and he
me.
says, please kill me, but he says that in Biocop.
Yeah.
He's just like, please kill me. And
He like delivers like Danny Glover-esque lines.
Yeah.
But then
yeah.
is followed by "Please kill me."
Yeah.
Like, He just like barfs his guts out everywhere. I love that trailer.
Jesus, Biocop, what do you have, a death wish? Yes!
It's so good. So he tells the other cop basically to go and like warn the town and so on and so forth. And
Vince,
then...
where's your keys? Oh!
He's trying to unlock the door.
But the other note is that PJ is just like actually protecting this like first hints where he's like kind of maybe turning a tide of sorts, and he's just like, yeah, I should have let those bullets hit you, blah blah blah, because clearly the police are not only just shooting at PJ, they're shooting at the fucking kids too.
Yeah, they start blasting.
Yeah. But this is where I initially was just like, Alistair is now getting this very Rugrats Chucky type voice, but he's just like kind of like meh, almost like Eeyore-ish like, you know, Ness. He's just like wah wah wah. Like now he's all depressed because he's.
Do you think I'll ever be this? What's he say?
Do you think I'll ever be normal again?
And she's like, probably not.
Probably not.
But I love you just the way you are.
Which like
that's true love,
she probably
guys.
could have asked.
Yeah.
Like the thing is like
yeah, she's a psycho.
Yeah,
she's out of control.
Yeah. So now we're going through the forest, which basically the whole group is going back to the warehouse, and Mimi's explaining what it means to frig off, and she's like now teaching Psycho Goreman things, which is just like he doesn't really care or understand. And this is where we first get then the cops like hands her a heart, and she's like, oh my god, it's a Valentine, you're gonna tell me you love me. And he's like, please kill me. And it's just so perfect. And this is where they teach Psycho Goreman first what love means, because he's just like, I don't understand this concept. And
he's like when you show the spine of your enemy to its grieving family.
Yes.
No,
not really.
No,
like
it's like more of a happy feeling, you know? He's like, that he's happy about that.
But I
like
anger and
while
hate.
this is, what I love too is like as he's like doing this, like the cop is literally trying to kill himself. He tries to like shoot himself.
Which he does in the trailer a bunch of times.
Right,
he just shoots himself in the head, and then his head just grows back.
Yeah. And this is where Luke then gets like first hints of like Mimi's going overboard, and she tells PG to kill Luke, and this is the turning point. So PG grabs Luke, and then she tells him to put him down, blah blah blah, and Luke's kind of like, yeah, no, we gotta stop her, blah blah blah. There's a lot of blah blah blahs in this. Sorry, guys. And not in a bad way. So in the next scene, we then see Pandora's actually on Earth. She's going to the police station. So we don't really understand why she goes there first, besides like maybe some intuition type situation. And we hear the cops explaining what he just experienced with PG. And Pandora's like, holy shit, no, this is the person I'm looking for. And she basically steals all of his memories by holding his head because she wants to find him. Now we're back in the forest, and they're walking along further, and this is like I think another cool moment for the whole film, and this is where we meet more of the like Electroverse characters that are at one point served PG, but now
I just came to meet the Paladins Obsidian.
Oh, the Paladins Obsidian.
That's
there you
right.
go.
Paladins Obsidian. Yes.
So very close to a StarCraft Warhammer type name. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
PG's like, kill these kids to get them out of here, and they're like, nah, you know what? Nah, this is good. We're actually pretty happy. We actually we have this cool thing going on where we all switch leaders, and we're all just like very
These
harmonious.
characters are my favorite characters in the movie by the far. The one that is just looks like a cement mixer of corpses.
It's a vat.
That all it does is grind corpses and shoot blood out of blood guns. Like, is so fucking cool. It just looks like something I would have drawn in 4th grade,
right?
Like in study hall. Like,
but out of any character besides, I say, the witch, they like did the best things with like as the fights are going on, like him getting shot with bullets and like having more things happen versus like I don't know, there wasn't anything really else exciting going on with. Like all
they all feel like rejected Power Rangers villains.
100%.
Like, you know, some of them were just kind of, I mean, not that they're terrible, but like they're just kind of boring. Nothing, you know, spectacular. They're not eyeball monsters, you know, that's made of eyeballs. And then you have the vat of corpses, which you can't put on a kid's TV show.
Yeah. The one guy who is like the main ish guy, the guy who he gives the Warrior's death, looks a lot like one of the guys from Neon Maniacs. Have you ever seen Neon Maniacs?
No.
It's terrible.
Okay.
I mean, it's fun. It's a fun
Right.
movie, but it looks a lot like one of the main guys who is like a caveman-esque type character from Neon Maniacs.
Yeah.
But,
that's pretty good. So basically, since PJ had told them to kill the kids, when they're about to say, after they say they fuck this and they're about to like kind of like just start fighting, Mimi freezes PG and he now gets his ass kicked by them.
yeah, they just start stomping him out.
Yeah. Basically, which I feel like if you like just like look at it, like watch all the characters doing it, it's just like so exaggerated. They're just like, ha, ha.
Well, it's a Power Rangers fight, 100%.
absolutely.
Like they might as well be putties, you know. It's
Which
just,
I super appreciate the fact that they even brought back like the sparkler flares.
oh
like,
yeah, I
yeah.
love that.
It's such a
stuff.
great design note to maintain as
Yeah.
well as like going forward.
Yeah.
And then also
Totally.
Biocop gets in on the fight too and just like starts kicking
he's
him in
just
the
like
ass.
shooting things.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
shooting, kicking him in
Which
the ass.
I feel like, is he the one who actually ends up shooting the vat guy too, like accidentally?
He might. I
like-
think he might accidentally
Yeah.
shoot the glass, the sight glass in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the vat. But
Well,
it's basically it looks like, what's the thing Power Rangers is based on, like the original Super Sentai.
Uh-huh.
If you saw a clip, you would be like, oh, this is just a really dark episode of Super Sentai.
Right, yeah.
For a
Yeah.
sec.
Yeah. But I think he shoots the vat a couple times, but then Psycho Goreman like punches.
He eventually
Yeah.
punches it and it all runs.
It all runs out.
Yeah, so Mimi gets PG to actually like apologize for what he's done, and she's like, "That's not good enough." And then he gets very sincere about it. So she gives him all the powers, which I felt like her little spin move was just like perfectly feeding into exactly all these like touches on
straight
Power Rangers.
Super Sentai
Yes.
like pose
Yes.
she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. And then PG goes after, kills everyone, but it doesn't really stop him from having gotten hurt. And also, while they're fighting, did you love the scene when Mimi and Luke are actually just like eating snacks the whole
Yeah,
time?
they're just taking it in.
like,
Yeah.
they're just like, this is great. And then the witch, though, which the witch was actually probably one of my favorite characters in the group too. She just kind of like
I love
crazy.
the voice too. Yeah.
Yeah, and she basically gets PG's head off of his body too, and I thought that was another cool effect that they did. But anywho, PG is now fucked up. He got beat up, but he ends up killing everyone. He gives that final character the warrior's death. We go through that again, but they're like, we need fucking help. We then switch back to Susan and Greg, and Greg had gotten a new TV after PG fucked up his TV. And this is like another great couple moment where he's just like, well, yeah, my TV got messed up. You should probably work a couple extra shifts just to like cover the TV.
He's like, I'm gonna have to take a couple weeks off work.
Yeah, like I'm gonna take a couple more weeks after work because my wrist, blah blah blah. And she's just like, how dare you fucking do this? Like, you are so lazy. You do nothing for us. And then that lazy word instantly like snaps in his brain. It's just like, why would you ever say that? My parents called me lazy. My teachers called me lazy. Like maybe my pastor called me lazy, etc. It's like, how would you call me lazy? It's like, maybe it's a pattern. Maybe you are a little lazy, but
That's a hint.
Yeah.
Which I just felt like it was like that level of like sarcasm throughout it was like kind of perfect. And then we switched to Greg. He's on the toilet talking to himself, being like, I have an English degree. What do you have? Blah blah blah. And this is where PG's floating head character, and he's trying to. The kids are using that to tell Greg where he is so that he can come help.
He's like mortally wounded at this
Right.
point, and they can't
PG
carry him out of the woods.
Yeah, PG needs help. He needs a ride. He can't go anywhere.
Which this felt like a joke from something else as well.
With the how they put a curse on the blades or whatever.
No, with the head popping in and out repeatedly.
Oh.
That felt like, again, either something Aqua Teen or I think it might have even been like Venture Brothers.
No, I'm trying to think of something else. I
Maybe
feel like
it does.
I'm going to think on it
Was
more
there
about
like
it.
a episode of? I'm picturing the character now in Aqua Teen who was like a genie or a wizard or something.
yeah.
Wasn't that?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It was an Aqua
But
Teen
it just
thing.
it just felt like another thing that I've like seen on Adult Swim already. So
Yeah.
Yeah, his head, his glowing, screaming head,
Right, yeah.
like
Yeah.
just bursts into him while he's taking a shit.
And then comes back because he can actually somehow hear you.
He's
You're
like,
just
but I don't know where that is.
Yeah.
And he comes like, ah, it's been
Yeah. So Greg goes and picks up the kids and PG, and I love the little last minute thing is PG, do you think I'm lazy? And it's just another cool, just little touch on
I
all
love
of
Greg's
that.
truck. I want that truck. That old ass GMC with the dualies in the back. It's just a cool old truck.
Yeah.
It's all rusted out and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they run over the witch's head, which isn't that important, but at the same time, it's kind of just another funny thing. They get home, and Susan and Pandora walk outside, and they're just get out of the car now. Get out. That guy's dangerous, and so on and so forth. And this is where, Mimi's just kind of Luke, go. No, take care of her. And she officially pushes Luke over the edge, and it's just no, you're always, telling me what to do. You're always, beating me up. Which is dude, stop being a pansy. Fucking do something about it. Anywho, he decides to leave and go with Pandora and Susan. And so now the group is officially split. Greg, Mimi, and Psycho Goreman go back to the warehouse, and Pandora, Susan, and Luke stay at the house. And we go back and forth between, so we start, which also I'm going to make a note to talk about the one last line before Greg leaves. And he's like, how's this for lazy, Susan? Which is so stupid. It's so fucking
so
dumb.
dumb.
But I felt like it was also hilarious. And I was just
So my kids love, oh God, what's that show? Oh shit! Sorry, it's blank. I'm blanking.
Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Yes, that's the show my kids love. No, it's Gravity Falls.
Okay.
They love Gravity Falls. And there's a character on it named Lazy Susan.
Oh God!
Oh.
So we call each other Lazy Susan a lot around the house. Yeah. She's because she has a lazy eye. It's actually a funny character.
Aww,
it's a funny. It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon. It's fine.
So we start with Greg, Mimi, and PG at the warehouse, and Mimi's just I'm scared, and Greg's just you've never been scared a day in your life. What are you fucking talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And then goes on to tell her a story of how a gentleman, when he was younger, approaches him about getting into his white van
That's a great
to
gag.
look at baseball cards. And he's like, okay.
The first time I watched this, I laughed a lot.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. And basically, the moral of the story is that he got into the van, and there were actually baseball cards. And he's like, you know what? Sometimes you gotta trust the bad guy.
Wait, you guys, if I wouldn't have got in that van, I would never had such a fun day.
Yeah.
It's just I had so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah. So basically, he's encouraging Mimi to be hey, yeah, go help PG. PG's basically telling her, you need to give me the gemstone so I can defeat this Pandora.
And she's like, I think she goes, one of the Greg lines was, she goes, but you're not going to kill, you're going to destroy the whole world or whatever. He's like, except for my family. You can't kill me or my family.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I won't kill them. And Greg's like, or everyone else.
Yeah, aren't
and
you going to tell her?
She's like, oh, oops. And he goes, oops is right.
Yeah. But then there's that awkward pause because I made a point
but then never corrects it.
No, never corrects it.
Ever, which is great. It's so good. And then we jump back to see what's going on with Pandora, Susan, and Luke, and basically Pandora turns Susan into a Templar, which I don't know why she didn't offer that to Luke either, but whatever. She's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
So that happens over there, which I almost made a Bloodles snack because that's the next, we go back to the Galactic Council and they're eating those blue noodles and they're called Bloodles.
Yeah, that was very.
That was but that was the only thing I took.
Such a stupid little thing.
Yeah, there's nothing really to that scene at all. I was like, no takeaways.
You know what
from
they
that.
did? They were sitting around, stoned as fuck, and somebody said, "What would a bunch of aliens eat? Blue noodles."
That is such
Blue
a Danny.
noodles.
That's such a Danny DeVito joke from It's Always Sunny. Literally, he's like, I like to eat blue. What does it taste like? Blue.
Yeah.
So then we can jump back to Mimi is now just she's having this come to Jesus moment, quote unquote. This is gonna get great. She is talking to this cross on the wall, and you almost think that maybe she's building up to be help me make a decision, and basically the decision
it's like
is
a crucifix on the wall.
Yes, what sunglasses am I to wear? She's trick question. I'm gonna wear the zebra ones.
There's a new god in town.
Yeah,
his
that's
name's
exactly
Psycho Goreman. Yeah.
And
she's such a fucking nut that she's just actively threatening Christ.
She goes, you know what? I'm going to take a moment from what we're going through to go taunt a crucifix.
Yeah. And then pulls it off and breaks it and then walks away. I was like, man, this is my girl, you know?
Well, I think the whole idea is like, if like she has the same brain as PG.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if she was a, galactic supervillain, she would be every bit as bad or worse than
That's
PG.
why I feel like you do believe at some point that maybe he loves her because he like gets that she's like,
they're born of the same mold. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you already went over like the next line was spatially like, hey, yeah, no, I'm gonna give you the gem as long as you don't kill anyone. You kill like everyone but my family. And he's like, what about the rest of the world? Meh. But she can't find the gem. So this is where we break in and we have Susan and the Templar, Pandora and Luke come back into play because they have the gemstone, and everyone kind of starts going at it. Susan and Greg start fighting, Mimi and Luke start fighting, and just like Dad said, people are the real monsters and you're one of them, basically Luke says to her. And then we have PG and Pandora start fighting too, but Pandora is obviously much stronger and she has him like in this like force field type situation. But PG remembers this process that the Templars had where basically like, I don't know if it's like more of like an honorary thing, like if we're gonna battle, we're going to battle, and I get to choose the battle. And so PG, she agrees, and PG calls on Mimi to choose the game. She obviously chooses Crazy Ball. And this is where we jump to Mimi explaining all the rules to Pandora, and she's like, this doesn't fucking make sense. And this is why he understands that like this is a good game for her. He knew she was going to choose that. The whole game goes on, and at the end, just like in the beginning of the movie, we go back to a what is it called when they hit the ball together? Switcheroo. Yeah. Yes. So it ends in a switcheroo, and clearly Mimi wins once again, which I love the scene when she like punches the brother. It's almost this like Mortal Kombat type thing.
She gets an
like,
uppercut to the gut.
Yeah. So, but Pandora's just like, no, fuck this. This didn't make sense to me. I don't understand this. So I'm still going to try to kill PG. And Mimi jumps in front of PG, and obviously then Pandora's like, I don't fucking care, I'll fucking kill you too. And then the mom Susan jumps in front, and during this moment is when Mimi and Luke basically make up, and she's just like, give me the fucking gemstone, we need to save him, blah blah blah. And he just wanted her to apologize. So instead of actually saying I'm sorry, because clearly that's not part of her personality, she sings that I'm heckin' best. Yeah. And it's great because like, and then PG's like, is this love? And everyone's just like, yes, absolutely.
And
this is what
she says I'm
is.
sorry with the Morse code.
Oh yeah.
That was all,
yeah.
But that's after she's already gotten the rock back. Like,
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So PG gets the rock back, beats the shit out of Pandora. We'll like kind of blast past that. He clearly, what I love about that scene is that he basically creates a staff because she's just like, you don't have a weapon. He's like, well, I can make one, and basically tears her apart and uses her entire body to create
makes
a staff.
sword out of her spine and stuff. And
absolutely.
It's like, it couldn't make less sense.
Yeah. It's pretty perfect in my mind, you know? But yeah, so PG ends up giving her the warrior's death as well by eating her. And then that's where like the one little note too, which was really funny because that really like sparked him when she cut up his punky boys. This is what in this scene too, Greg actually breaks his hand, and he's just like the whole time being like, Susan, you actually have to. Like, I love when she like Susan gets out of her Templar costume and like falls into Greg's arms, and he's just like, Susan, you gotta take me to the hospital now. And she's like clearly like not with it, like clearly like coming down from this whole like metamorphosis of sorts. He's like, yeah, my hand really hurts. And then, Luke, can you drive? That was also a great line. So post all of this, they all go outside. PG is basically like, hey, yeah, no, I understand what love is. And he thinks that everything that's going on is like love. And he's like, I don't need the gemstone anymore. You can keep it. And basically he's like, I have the power of love now to like go fight everyone, and uses this quote unquote love and just goes after. He's like, I won't hurt your family. I won't do any of this. And it's a great ending. And we, get one scene where we go back to Alistair's family, which I think I saw that Alistair, the woman who plays Alistair's mom, was like the Templar Pandora too. Like she played that character.
Okay.
as
I was gonna
well,
say they
which-
have to be somebody. Yeah, they didn't hire actors just for those.
Yeah,
roles.
they definitely overplayed everyone. Yeah. So we have that. Guys.
Just in the background, it is funny though because the news is on in the house.
Yeah, and
And it's
they're
just
not
talking
paying
about
attention.
like he's destroying the entire world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that. You never haven't noticed that like they realize like what Alistair is so clearly they're like neglecting him. Like they're not paying attention to the news. They're not paying attention to their son is like now a brain. But yeah, overall, I felt like the colorscape in the movie, I felt like the colors were really great for like how they used in the cinematography. I felt like every song or musical note that I used like for the soundtrack, I think was really great and it either aided or like made it also enhance when they like took it away. Like I thought that was great. But I feel like Mimi was hilarious. I think she really led the charge with that. And then also I feel like this movie had a lot of gore too, which I feel like you don't always get that much gore that's like very genuine gore versus like just like, oh, this is a joking stabbing and it's just like blood. And then obviously the costumes were very fun.
Yeah,
and
the
really
creatures are
great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
The practical effects are great. It definitely felt like a labor of love movie, you know what I mean? Which I can definitely appreciate. I don't think it matters that much, so I know I'm nitpicking because the movie is about fucking costumes and gore and gags, and that's what makes it a super enjoyable movie. But the fact that, and I don't mind the fact that there's not like a good guy, but like the dad and Mimi are like total shitbirds the whole time.
Yeah, and they don't learn anything.
Yeah, but then you act like they're being heroes and they never change at all.
Right.
No.
They never learn anything. And then the ending is obviously very stupid, but like on a purpose, you know what I mean? I think it's like it wasn't a profound ending by any stretch of the imagination, but like I don't know. I even
Brian.
amongst the craziness and the wildness of the movie, this is one of those movies where it's like I really love it. Like I said, I bought it on DVD like right after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a dive in the third act.
It really does.
Yeah.
My problem with it is like, and I feel twofold because I think this is the third time I've watched it now.
Mm-hmm.
One is like you're saying, in the third act, it takes a dive. It stops being as funny and it just becomes more predictable. And it becomes like, at this point, we've already gotten the joke.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they would have to do more surprising things. Like instead of turning the mom into a Templar, it would have to be like a reveal that she's been turned into some gross abomination.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also already seen gross abominations at this point. So I don't know. There's not too many places for them to go.
Yeah. And also like the brother never really, whom I still don't remember his name. Luke. Yeah. He kind of like never really stands up for himself.
Yeah, he never really actualizes.
Okay, so I feel like one of the things is like that you don't really like. I feel like that not every maybe it's like a normal thing that like you want to see that character arc where you see them change and like grow. But I feel like at the same time, what the entire theme has been like is that they're all like meeting themselves like where they are and accepting each other. Like that is so much acceptance, and I think that like
I think you're right. That's probably was meant to be the message.
Sure.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It never is communicated super well.
Yeah.
No, totally. I just feel like it's our expectation of like what the norm is versus like what reality is. And granted, obviously, when I say that, I'm obviously talking about a movie that is completely as far removed from reality as possible. But like, there is that humanistic characteristic to this film.
I think like if they all just were like, I'm gonna accept, like if they were like, oh, we're gonna accept each other for who we are, kind of thing. If they were going to go that route, it just would have felt more complete for them to do it a little bit more explicitly. Because right now, it seems at times like they're telling the story of like, don't be a pushover.
Mm-hmm.
And then at other moments, they're telling the moral is don't be unwieldy.
Right.
Which are obviously completely opposed.
Yeah. And then like you have like other moments where like Mimi forces Psycho Goreman to apologize to her.
Yeah.
But then she's not willing to make the same concession later.
Yeah.
But she does, though. I mean,
Hardly.
Yeah.
No, but
very
I mean,
half-heartedly,
so,
I guess. Yeah.
I can understand that too, but I feel like she does it in her own way still. Even,
It doesn't feel like, but it doesn't feel like an apology. And then, like, when she does the knocking, like, that's fine. And, like,
It just felt like she's still manipulating him.
Yeah.
Mm.
But point is, none of this matters because that's not what the movie's about. The movie's about silly gags and costumes and weird characters and violence and all that stuff.
It does, yeah. It just kind of, as I've watched most of Astron 6 stuff at this point, this one is kind of their worst. Like,
see, I haven't saw many of them. The only other thing I've seen is the trailer for BioCop,
right?
Or which is BioCop,
yeah.
The trailer.
And so like a lot of their short films are like these fake trailers. Was it Laser Ghost 2? Return to Laser Cove is like one of their first ones.
Sounds great. See, I need to go watch this.
They're all great.
It's kind of like been on my to-do for a while to watch.
So it's all these, short films and they like bite off things that we recognize from just being horror fans. Like BioCop, it has all those things that, like RoboCop, Maniac Cop, Tokyo Gore Police, trauma films in general.
Mm-hmm.
They have they take all these pieces, and then kind of condense it down. This one it's long. And it falls apart, and it allows itself to get boring, and the last like real big moment is that fight scene in the woods with like all the characters that show up, and that's like very hilarious. That's a very strong scene, and then after that, it kind of just like limps home for me.
I hear what you're saying. I maybe it could be 15 minutes shorter. You know what I mean in my mind, but like at the same time, like I didn't feel like it fell apart as much as like you guys felt like it
the
fell
crazy
apart,
ball scene. There's not really anything redeeming about the crazy ball scene.
I just think it was just fun. I feel like that's what it like.
Fine.
It really brought like more funness to the whole thing.
It's fun, but there's like no twist to it. The twist to it would have been Luke wins and Luke hits her. Because then Luke would stand up for himself. Luke would have won.
Sure,
Luke would have learned something. Even if you make Luke a worse person by making him like clothesline the shit out of his sister.
Yeah.
And just like turn everybody evil and turn everybody bad. That's a arc. Arc of good to bad is an arc.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's just Luke is a pincushion the entire time, then gets fucking decked, and then everything plays out, just step by step.
I think they thought, this is my complete guess here, completely assuming a lot of things, that him making the body sword that he pulled from Pandora, I think they thought that was going to be a bigger climactic part of the movie, or they intended for it to be like a Megazord, kind of coming to the rescue type of part of the movie. And it kind of fell flat a little bit. The
other thing that would have been like a funny twist or whatever is if just Psycho Goreman just killed everybody at once.
Yeah, just murdered everybody and just like,
yeah, just fuck you. You can't keep me to my word. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm the most evil, destructive force in the galaxy. Yeah.
I'm not going to be beholden to a little girl. You don't have power over me anymore.
He kills everybody, and then the only thing he saves is like the Hunky Boys, like the magazine or something. That's what I definitely. Yeah. So like this movie for me was like a 5 out of 5 for 2/3 of the movie, and then the last third of the movie was like a 2 out of 5. Which still comes out to be a 4 out of 5. I still love this movie, but I really wish the third act was better.
It does redeem itself in the very last second of the last council scene.
That's great.
Where they're all sitting around.
They have like a snub-nosed 38.
It's a legit.
It's an old 70s cop gun.
Yeah. Just sitting there like, well, who wants to kill themselves first? and Cortex the Tube Man or whatever, he just raises his hand. It's the funniest bit, and that's a great way to go out after just kind of limping in. But it's fun. I think a lot of their other stuff is better.
And then they have like a ninja rap at the end too, which is great. Or it's not that it's what's a better example? All I can think of is Ninja Rap in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
I think
but there's another movie that has a better version.
There's plenty of Ghostbusters has fucking songs, where like, but they're just rapping about what happened in the movie.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for just tearing everything apart.
No,
at the end,
I think it's great. I love this
joking.
movie.
I don't feel bad because I still think it was like the best out of the three. But
I'm sure you do.
Sure.
I love this movie. I really like. I literally bought it. Like I said, after the first time I watched it, I bought it. So like that says a lot. You know, I didn't buy Mother after the first time I watched it. I would never buy any Darren Aronofsky movie. It's complete side.
Not even The Wrestler?
I would the wrestler.
I like
the wrestler, but
it's the only one.
I got down a rabbit hole the other night, laying in bed watching YouTube videos, and got onto some celebrities talking about how genius Darren Aronofsky was, and I got just it kept me up for an hour. I was so mad. I hate Darren
Just
Aronofsky.
fuming.
He sucks. He's a bad director.
Yeah. I guess like I'm wrapping up any sort of moment. It's like I just think like the director just like I appreciate all of like his vision and creativity towards all these films, and like even like that's why I brought up like him having fun with like other things like Cheddar Goblin or like that like the Veggie Smasher and stuff like that too.
Here's
which
an interesting thing.
He brings this like creativity to this film.
Here's
too.
the interesting thing I'm thinking, and I could be wrong, but I feel like Kostansky might need like Brooks or Gillespie with him. Just because, so the Veggie Masher thing is like that's something that's been done before in a lot funnier, better way. It was part of the
the rat one.
Oh no
You're talking about the short thing, the Too Many Cooks type of.
Not Too Many Cooks, but it's similar. I'm trying to think. The director who did District 9.
Oh yeah. He I know what you're talking about.
He put out like a whole bunch of short films that were, that looked like they could have been prototypes for bigger films.
Mm-hmm.
But like there is like 3 short films of like these fake kitchen gadgets that create like nightmare horrors.
Oh yeah.
I know what you're talking
It's
about.
so much better than that
Veggie
Veggie Masher. And I just like,
okay, I got you.
And like, that's the other thing
That
I
makes
feel
sense.
like is like Kostansky is good at biting at other stuff. So like he can bite that, he can bite Aqua Teen Hunger Force, he can bite the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But like maybe he needs somebody else to direct him a little more with a better story.
When you brought up him working with who's the other guy you're talking about? Gillespie. Yeah. So he worked on that with The Void. And like so actually I re-listened to an interview through last podcast on my way up here today because I was like I wanted to remember what they talked about because he were talking about with The Void though that they actually said that was like a little bit harder because they actually are complete opposites. So like kind of like what you're saying though is that they did bring this like he goes in oftentimes with like on the seat of his pants, like you're like the edge of the seat, like that's how he directs, that's how he thinks. He's just like one of those people like if I want you to like move your head, like I'm gonna make you like this is our shot. And then he said Gillespie like would be like a little bit more intentional on things, so like that like but he also said in the same vein where it did create a lot of frustration for both of them.
I'm
like,
sure.
throughout
Well,
the
yeah,
film.
just working. Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe you're right in that respect where because he said he started like right out of like college or high school or whatever he was when he was doing special effects and like claymation and stuff like that. So he was doing a lot of work alone and solo and stuff like that. So I mean, I think you get a better insight on like how he directs things. So when maybe things at times seem a little bit more chaotic, maybe that's where it's coming from, because he's just all of a sudden is like, boom, on the drop of a dime. Like he's like, this would actually be weird. But also, like I said, in hearing other interviews with him, that he does sometimes, I think, intentionally just try to do like what would be the most extreme crazy thing right now.
Yeah. So. And I mean, that's the whole crux of like Astron 6 as a group is like they are really great at putting forward, just these extreme fucking, short films that are also very funny and, but like, yeah, I think just the way how strong The Void is with being like as structured as it is, as fast paced as it is, but the scale that achieves from basically a 1 or 2 location shoot, like it really feels like that it was a very intentional, whereas this film still has 2 or 3 locations because you have the house, the woods, and the warehouse. Yeah, but it's still like it's a little sloppier. It feels a little emptier because of that. And it just,
I feel like this is going to be a terrible comparison, forgive me, but whenever I think of like a director who is so incredibly good at like certain things and then just doesn't have the skill set that's like round enough on its own to put a fully fleshed film together, like something like The Void,
Yeah.
I think about Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
Because visually he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like
he couldn't write his way out of a paper bag.
Right.
Yeah.
He's an
Stinks.
incredible visual director. He has such an incredible, eye.
Mhm.
But then his dialogue's fucking trash.
Right.
No, I'm not comparing. I love Stephen Costanza. I'm not comparing to Rob's, and I don't dislike Rob Zombie. But
it's very similar because also like Kostansky, like he obviously, like you were saying, Meg, he got his start doing visual effects and makeup, and so like anytime you see that in Astron 6, it's very apparent like that he did that, and then he also just works on big budget films doing their effects.
Yeah.
So like he's very good at all of that.
Yeah.
But it's just like maybe in The Helm he needs somebody else.
Sure.
Needs a little help or needs
I can understand.
a little bit more direction.
Cool.
Continued in part 2.